for you. But if the graph's not drawn for us, we'd really rather just not have to worry about graphing points if we don't have to. So this is another method or another way to find the slope, and that's using the equation for slope. And you've probably seen this equation before, but it's a really easy equation to get mixed up and forgotten. So I'm going to write it out. So using those 2 points is we subtract the y's and then put that over the x's subtracted in the same order. So you probably have seen that before. So that's a formula that you can use if you're given 2 points. So rather than having to go and put this on the graph and then count the rise over the run, we can actually find the slope using these two, or this equation. So if they ask us for the slope through these points, again, this is x and y. This is x and y, but since there's 2 of them, I'm going to call this one x1, y1, and this one x2, y2. So it's just kind of the way I'm labeling it. So at this point now, we're going to put this all into our formula. So m equals, now it's asking us to subtract the y's. So we're going to do y2 minus that y1. So 4 minus 3. Bless you. Oh, that was a cough. I'll just sneeze at first. Still God bless you. 4 minus 3. You're subtracting. And then I have to do the same thing with the x's. But this one's a little bit bigger of a pain because we're doing -6 minus a -2, which is why that warm-up was so important. -6 minus a -2. So that double negative is what we want to think about there. So do you guys see, we just put all those into our formula, and now we just have to simplify it. So 4 minus 3, we get 1. -6 minus a -2 is going to be -6 plus 2, which is just going to be a -4. So our slope in this case is a -1/4. So we didn't have to do any graphing. We were able to just put that together in that formula and figure out the slope. Most of the time when you find slope, you'll be able to do it this way. I think in our homework it's probably about split half and half, where they give you the graph or they give you points this way. All right, I'll do another one with you guys, and then I'll probably try to let you guys do one on your own here. So again, if it helps to label right away, you don't have to. So you do y2 minus y1. So 4 minus a -2, bless you, over 3 minus 1. So 4 minus a -2 is going to end up being 4 plus 2, which is going to be 6. 3 minus 1 is just going to be 2. But then I can simplify 6 over 2 to just be 3, or 3 over 1, either way. So that would be a +3 for the slope. Why don't you guys try example 3, and then I'll help you guys with it in a minute here. So see if you guys can try example 3 there. Yeah, no, I can basically simplify, and then just careful the 2 negatives, when they become a positive one. Oh, and I think you have it flipped. I think you have the y's, the x's on top of the y's. I think you have to flip the fraction over. So remember, so when we talk about the y's are on top, that's because that's the rise, that's the up and down movement. So the y's on top does make sense. As much as maybe you don't think it does. And those last couple problems, if you're looking ahead, are a little bit trickier, so you might want to hang on for a minute for those. And we do want to simplify the fraction, but you want to leave it improper if it's still a fraction. So don't make it a mixed number. Slope doesn't really make sense as a mixed number. Give you guys a little bit more time here. And then you can simplify that. Both of those can be divided by something there, please. All right, so it looks like most of you guys have gotten a good jump on it. So let's talk through it. So I'm doing the y's first. So I'm doing -3 minus 3. So I'm going this way. Now, if you chose to subtract the other way, it works as long as you're consistent. So then here I'm going to do -4 minus 0. So the y's are on top of the x's. So I'm left with a -6 on top, down 3 more, a -4 on the bottom. So this needs to simplify. Two negatives actually become positive, right? Double negative is going to cancel. So this is actually going to be a positive slope. And these can both be divided by 2. So this is going to be a positive 3/2 is the slope. And as much as you might want to call that 1 1/2 or 1.5, we actually like slope as an improper fraction. So please do leave it that way. Just get in the habit of leaving it that way. It makes it kind of difficult if you change it. All right, questions there? So again, with homework, yep.
Would it be negative instead of positive?
But two negatives divided, if I divide a negative by a negative, it's going to end up being a positive. Do you see why we have the two negatives? Are you okay with a -6 over -4? Is that what you had to begin with?
Yeah, I heard that, but then if you divide -6 by 2, it would be -3. That is not.
Yeah, but so would this be a -2? I kind of just got rid of the negatives. So if I divided -4 by 2, it'd also be a -2. So this would be a -3 over a -2, and the two negatives make a positive 3/2. So I kind of did two things in one step. So yeah, I understand if you missed that, sorry. Good question. All right, so the last couple problems are definitely a little bit trickier. So I just want to remind you guys with homework, I try to make, and if you haven't noticed this already, sorry that you haven't noticed this already, but when we do notes, I try to do questions like the homework, like that they're supposed to go hand in hand. You guys seem to be doing well with that. My 4th hour class the other day really struggled through a homework assignment, and I told them we did examples just like those in our notes, and they kind of were like, I felt like it was a revelation for them. So just so you guys know, these last couple problems, there's going to be ones like this at the end of the homework. So use those to kind of help you work your way through these last couple. So there should be problems like just about everything. So when you find a missing coordinate, this is a little bit trickier. Now, if you're really good with like kind of guessing and checking, sometimes these aren't as tough for you. But what's happening here is they're missing half of the problem, essentially, or part of the problem. So like in this case here, we don't know what the x is. But they tell me the slopes. They're telling me m. And I don't know if I didn't point that out before. M is the slope. I don't know why they chose m. There's not really a good reason. I guess s is a bad variable to work with. I don't know. So when we're doing our slope here, our formula looks like this. I'm going to put in everything I know. So I actually know what m is. I'm going to put that in as -5. Then I'm going to do y2 minus y1. So that's going to be -4 minus 6. Then on the bottom, I'm going to have x minus -2. So I'm kind of going to rewrite what I have here. So I have -5 equals -10 over x plus 2. Any thoughts on how to figure out what x is? think you just guessed and checked, right? Like, so to figure out what value worked for. So that works, yeah. So kind of looking at this and saying, I can tell what x is going to be just by knowing these values. Now, let's say the number is not as easy to find. I'm going to give you guys a suggestion. If you change just one little part of this, do you know what to do now with the problem? No. Do you guys know what to do with a problem that looks like this now? When we have a fraction equaling a fraction, we just did this last chapter. What's that? Cross multiply. There we go. That's what I was looking for. So if I put that over 1, I can just cross multiply. This just becomes a proportion that I can solve. Now, Tucker found the answer without cross multiplying. Just so you guys know, that's totally possible, and I'm not saying he's wrong at all because he has the right answer over here. I'm just saying maybe if you don't notice it like he did, I think he just figured out negative 5 over 1 and negative 10 over what would give me negative 5. But, so if we multiply negative 5 times x plus 2, and that equals negative 10 over here, times 1. So we can distribute, I'm going to go up, sorry. So negative 5x minus 10 equals negative 10. So I'm going to move that 10 over. So I get negative 5x equals 0. So then when I divide by negative 5, I just get 0. So x ends up being 0 in this case. And like I said, he figured that out without having to do all that work, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I don't want to take away you guys trying to figure things out in your own way. It's just if you're stuck and you're not seeing that 0 was the answer, I would really suggest you going through those steps. So you want to learn how to do it in kind of a mathematical or a algebraic way as well. So this next one, we're going to do kind of the same thing. So we already know what m is. M is 3/4. So I'm going to put that on the left side. So 3/4 is my slope. That one's kind of nice because it's already a fraction. Then here, I'm going to subtract the y's. And then on the bottom, I'm going to subtract the x's. So I'm going to kind of rewrite what I have here. So I subtracted negative 2 minus 6. Now again, we can cross multiply, unless you can just figure it out. This one would probably be a little bit tougher to figure out in your head. So I'm doing 4 times y minus 4, and then 3 times negative 8, so negative 24. Kind of bringing proportions back into things here. Is this negative 8 over here? I believe so. And then we're going to divide by 4. So we end up with y is negative 2. Which again, you can get that a lot of different ways. So that's not the only way, but that's one way to do it. Now notice today, guys, homework's a little bit different. It does say all rather than odds or evens. So we're doing all, a little bit longer assignment. You guys have the rest of the time to get working on it. Should be posted online. Some of the graphs are a little hard to see online, so you might have to, I don't know if you have to take a better picture of the book or grab a book, you're welcome to.